There is one strategy low stakes poker players need to use to crush their games. I have been a winning poker pro for 7 straight years, and it is something I use in every live session. In this video, I am going to break down exactly what it is and how you can use it to start winning more money today. This first hand is going to demonstrate the strategy, and I will be dealt ace king offsuit in cutoff position. The max buy-in is $500 and the straddle will be on. I open 2.5x to $25. It folds to my opponent in big blind and she will put in the call and the straddle will fold. We go heads up to a flop of king 5-6, 2 diamonds. My opponent checks, and with top pair top kicker, I am looking to build the pot as quickly as possible. There are plenty of hands she will call, such as any king X, 6x, 5x, flush draws, gutters, and open-ended straight draws. We will be ahead of all of these hands. I will C bet, aka continuation bet, $35. After a couple of seconds, my opponent puts in a call. We go to the turn and it comes the 4 of clubs. She checks again, and this is a very interesting turn card. I have two options where I can slow down by checking, or I can still double barrel. She will not always have a straight here with 8-7, and there are still plenty of worse hands I can get called by that I mentioned on the flop. Also, this particular player would not have 3-2 or 7-3 suited in their range. I place a wager of $95 on the turn. The strategy is going to finally come into play when, as the dealer is counting out my chips, she check raises to $225. Now, let's break this down. First, she manages to check raise 2 seconds after I place my bet. This is extremely strong and is almost never a bluff. She already had in her mind she was going to raise even before I decided to barrel the turn. Second, are there any bluffs she can have with a check raise that is slightly above 2x at this stack depth? Does she always have a better hand than my top pair best kicker? Yes, she does. She either has a straight, set, or some sort of 2 pair. Third, check raising the turn after getting double barreled out of position is one of the most underbluff spots in poker. If this happens to you, just be prepared to let your hand go because you will be beat. You must learn to fold more in your poker games. Hero folding is much more valuable than these fancy hero calls you see. I will happily fold my top pair, top kicker, as I know for sure I am always beat. You can crush low stakes poker even more by scanning this QR code to receive my free guide, The Low Stakes Poker Blueprint. You will get the 100 rules I used to win for 7 straight years. You can also receive it by clicking the pinned comment in this video. Different situation and position, I will be on the button with Queen Jack offsuit. The blinds are 2-5 this time. Hijack is going to limp and cutoff is going to raise it up to $15. Hijack has been limping a lot, so there is a high percentage chance of making it to the flop in position with my holding. I call and it folds back around to Hijack, who is going to come along as well. This time we will be multi-way as we head to a flop of Queen 6 deuce rainbow. Hijack, the limper and not the person who raised, is going to donk bet for $25, about 50% of the pot. If you are not familiar with what a donk bet is, it is when a player takes the betting lead when they were not the previous aggressor. Since they limp called pre-flop, this fits the criteria of a donk bet. Try your best to not do these bets, but you should learn how to play against them when others do it. Cutoff folds, which is great as I now get to be heads up. I put in a call. We go to the turn and it comes the 7 of spades. Billing continues on the turn with a bet of $65. This is getting a bit alarming at this point, but with top pair decent kicker, I can't fold yet. Also, the 7 of spades should not have changed much, so I call again. We go to the river and it comes the 6 of spades. The board has now paired and the backdoor flush draw came in. Even with all of this, my opponent is finding a triple barrel and bets again for $175, a 75% pot bet roughly. Top pair decent kicker became worse and worse as the hand went on. My opponent is showing a massive amount of aggression when this is not a clean run out. You cannot be attached to top pair when someone is firing bets into you. So for all of these reasons, I would gladly fold my hand, knowing that I have much better hands in my range to call with. Try your best to never be attached to your hand and understand you can always fold and pick a better time to put your chips in the middle. Now we will have a pocket pair as I have pocket tens in under gun plus one position. The hand starts off weird with under the gun opening to $40, a 4x open since there is no straddle on. I decide to go for the 3 bet and raise it up to $120, a smaller size due to the 4x open and specific player. It folds around to small blind and they will code 4 bet, re-raising it again to $250. Under the gun folds, and at this point, I am up against a very strong range. It is only 2x my 3 bet though, and we are playing almost 150 big blinds effective in position, so I will continue with a call. We go heads up to a flop of 8-7-3 with 2 hearts. This is a good flop having an overpair to the board and some straight draw and backdoor flush potential. Villain puts out a bet of 150. We cannot go anywhere yet. I put in a call. We go to the turn and it comes the 9 of spades. Extremely good turn as I pick up an open-ended straight draw. My opponent finds a bet again on the turn and makes it $330. Very hard to start folding with so much equity and an overpair, but we will still put in the call. We go to the river and it comes the 2 of diamonds. My opponent announces they will be all in for $830. Finally, the hand has shifted gears and I start to think about my options. As I said before, to start this hand, villain's range is very strong. Think about it. Under the gun opened 4x and I 3 bet versus under the gun's massive open. So this makes my range super strong against theirs. Even after all of this action, villain in small blind somehow manages to re-raise it against 2 very strong ranges. After we go post flop, they manage to bet on every street without any resistance. Yes, their sizing on river is not the biggest bet, but this does not mean I have to call. Think about it. What do we beat here? My opponent would somehow have to find a bluff with ace king because this is about the only hand I win against in this configuration. They can still have pocket aces, kings, and sometimes queens. I personally do not believe they even have ace queen suited here often enough because of how tight players are with 4 betting in this configuration. Yes, I committed a lot of chips to this pot, but that does not mean I am committed and forced to call. Try your best to never have this perspective and call for these reasons. You can always find a fold, and I would do just that with my pocket tens with no regrets. Learning how to play tough spots is easy by scanning this QR code to receive my free guide, The Low Stakes Poker Blueprint. You will get the 100 rules I used to win for 7 straight years. You can also receive it by clicking the pinned comment in this video. Completely different situation for the strategy will be shown as I am dealt King Jack suited in under the gun position. The straddle will be on, so I open 2.5x to $25. It folds to the blinds, and both big blind and the straddle will be put it in the call. We are 3-handed, headed to a flop of King Jack 7, 2 spades. Extremely good flop as we have top 2 pair, and we are only going to be behind to pocket sevens. Kings would have 3 bet pre-flop, and with 2 jacks already in play, it's going to be extremely unlikely any opponent has the one combination of it left in the deck. Even though I am the pre-flop aggressor, my opponent is going to donk the flop for $35. The straddle will fold, and we do not want to just call with such a strong made hand. We want our opponent to call with all the random hands they would donk with, such as random spades, queen 10, king X, and some combo draws. I will raise in position more than 3x, making it $125 to go. After a couple of seconds, they will be put in the call. We go to the turn, and it comes the 8 of hearts. They check, and the hand starts to become a bit more interesting. At first, you may be scared of seeing the 8, but let's break this down. How much 10-9 does my opponent have? They should only have 10-9 of spades or 10-9 of clubs due to it having a backdoor flush possibility from the flop. Sometimes they can have 10-9 offsuit, but it should still at least contain a spade. We will be behind at a low frequency here, but majority of the times we will still be ahead. There are still way more hands we are ahead of and worse hands we need to get paid from. Because of this, I will happily bet again on the turn for $300. They tank for about 30 seconds or so and finally come along with the call. We go to the river, and it comes the 5 of spades. Villain does not check immediately like the previous streets. After a little bit, they donk jam for almost the size of the pot. With the front end flush draw completing, this is not a fun spot. We have to think about the entire line that just occurred. My opponent leads the flop, indicating they most likely have a flush draw, as many people do at low stakes. They proceed to call my raise in position and then tank call my huge turn bet. Then their aggression comes back when they donk all in on a flush completing card. Do you think in this line a human being is capable of bluffing? What bluffs do they really have here? They are very non existent in this spot, so now we move on to hands that we can beat. Would any worse two pair take this line, or would the money have gone in already on the flop or the turn? Is there any strong made hand we can beat? Two pair wouldn't do this, and the only hand they are telling us they have is a flush. Also, Big Blind has the range advantage with having more flushes than we do. After this very thorough breakdown, we can conclude I am going to always lose this spot, so I will confidently fold my top two pair. There are 6 poker mistakes that let the entire table know a player is a fish. Watch this video so you can point them out in your game today.